So, if you look really closely at the tag on a brand new set of like quote unquote wrinkle-free baby sheets, you'll see the washing instructions, right?
Yeah, and probably the country of origin.
Exactly. The country of origin, the fabric blend. But you absolutely will not see an ingredient list.
No, definitely not.
And if you did, sitting right next to the words 100% cotton, you might see formaldehyde, like literally the exact same chemical used in embalming fluid.
It's wild when you actually stop and think about it.
It's crazy. And the craziest part is that it is entirely legal. It's sitting on the shelves of nearly every major baby retailer right now.
Right, because, I mean, the baby aisle is practically engineered to make you feel safe. You know, you go in and you see those soft pastel colors, the cute little
The
font.
clouds and the sheep.
Exactly. The words pure and gentle are everywhere. And you just assume that because it's for an infant, someone, somewhere, has subjected it to rigorous safety testing.
Which you would hope.
You'd hope so. But infant textiles actually occupy this massive regulatory gray area. It's an industry where marketing fiction regularly masquerades as medical safety.
Which is exactly why, for this deep dive, we are unpacking a massive stack of sources specifically for you, because if you're listening to this, you're likely trying to decode this incredibly confusing, really high-stakes world of baby sleep.
Yeah, it's a lot to navigate.
It is. So we're pulling from rigorous manufacturer guides from Moss River or Nzon, Hiccopop, and Basics. Plus, we've got clinical insights from toxicologist Dr. Yvonne Burkhart.
And we can't forget the real stressed-out parents venting on Reddit.
Yes, the Reddit threads are so illuminating. So our mission today is to really cut through the greenwashing, decode the whole textile alphabet soup, and establish the ultimate hierarchy of safe infant sleep.
And to do that, we actually need to start with the macroscopic physics of the crib before we even touch the microscopic chemicals in the fabric.
Right, because physical safety always comes first.
Exactly. A completely toxic-free organic sheet is, well, it's a deadly hazard if the geometry of how it fits the mattress is wrong.
A physical hazard always trumps a chemical one, and that Reddit thread we pulled from the baby bumps community, it perfectly illustrates how quickly this goes wrong.
Well, the bassinet one?
Yeah, user Clogan03 posted about an absolute nightmare they had trying to fit a sheet onto their bassinet. So the sheet was listed as 35 by 21 inches, and the mattress was 34 by 20.
Which, logically, you'd think is fine.
Right. In theory, you look at those numbers and you think, okay, the sheet is an inch bigger, it should slip right on with a little slack.
But that is not what happens.
No, the actual result was this bunching, pulling mess that generated so much surface tension, it literally caused the flimsy bassinet mattress to physically bow upwards in the middle.
You see, what's fascinating here is that bowing creates a trench around the edges of the mattress.
Like a gap.
Exactly. When you look at the American Academy of Pediatrics, the AP, their guidelines for safe sleep are totally non-negotiable. A baby needs a perfectly firm, flat sleep surface.
Period.
Right. So if a mattress bows and creates a trench, a baby can roll into that gap and become trapped against the mesh side. Any slack or bunching of the fabric itself is it's an immediate suffocation risk.
And another user in that same thread, QuietPete2363, pointed out the specific physical mechanism causing this.
The shade of the bed, right?
Yeah. Bassinets are rarely perfect rectangles. They are usually oval or even slightly hourglass-shaped. But a massive percentage of standard replacement sheets are manufactured as generic rectangles.
Which just doesn't work.
No. If you try to stretch a rectangular sheet over an oval mattress, it's like trying to stretch a square rubber band over a round bowling ball. The tension naturally wants to snap to the path of least resistance.
It pulls unevenly.
Exactly. The elastic gaps at the sides and absolutely destroys that perfectly flat surface.
Because the geometry just doesn't align. The manufacturer guide from Hiccopop actually stresses this exact point when talking about slightly larger sleep setups. They note that terms like mini crib and pack and play are absolutely not interchangeable.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, a pack and play mattress is fundamentally different in its structural rigidity and its depth compared to a mini crib mattress. You cannot use this like fits most logic when a fraction of an inch of slack can literally obstruct a newborn's airway.
That makes total sense. But even if a standard sheet manages to stretch over an oval mattress without snapping or bowing the pad, you hit a second physical barrier, which is the actual weave of the fabric itself.
Right, the mechanical stretch. Take a brand like Joey and Joan. Their model-specific sheets use 100% jersey cotton.
Jersey is the softer one.
Yeah, because jersey isn't woven on a loom, it's knitted. The interlocking loops of a knit give the fabric a natural, multi-directional stretch, kind of like a soft t-shirt.
Oh, I see.
And that mechanical stretch allows the fabric to actively grip the underside of a unique mattress shape without relying entirely on the elastic band.
Okay, so contrast that with a brand like Summer Infant, which often uses universal woven blends. Woven cotton is literally a grid of threads intersecting at rigid right angles. It has virtually zero natural give. So if you try to force a universal woven sheet onto a non-standard oval mattress, you are literally fighting the physical structure of the fabric. The tension has nowhere to go but up, pulling the mattress with it.
So the takeaway for the physical setup is precision engineering. Like, measure the specific dimensions and the exact shape of your mattress, and only buy a sheet engineered for that exact model.
Okay, so step one, nail the physics, secure the fit. But once that sheet is perfectly flat, we have to look really closely at what that sheet is actually made of.
This is where it gets scary.
It really does, because, I wear cheap polyester shirts all the time. I sleep on blended sheets. Why is a baby's exposure to textiles so radically different than an adult's?
Because a baby's skin isn't just like a miniaturized version of adult skin. It is structurally and biologically totally vulnerable.
How so?
Well, based on research from toxicologist Dr. Yvonne Burkhardt and the data cited by Sophia Mila, an infant's skin is anywhere from 30% to 5 times thinner than adult skin.
5 times thinner. Wow.
Yeah. The outermost layer, the stratum corneum, isn't fully mature or tightly packed yet. It is highly, highly permeable.
So it's essentially acting like a sponge for whatever it comes into contact with.
Exactly. And that permeability is compounded by a much more alarming biological factor, which is that babies have immature detoxification systems.
Right, their organs are still developing.
Exactly. When an adult's skin absorbs an environmental toxin, our fully developed liver and kidneys go right to work, metabolizing and filtering it out of our system. A baby's organs are still developing that capacity.
So the chemicals just stay there.
Yeah. When a chemical crosses their skin barrier, it enters the bloodstream and it lingers there, circulating much longer than it would in an adult.
That is terrifying, because the chemicals we are talking about in unverified textiles are legitimately horrifying. We're looking at Sazo dyes, heavy metals like lead and cadmium, and as I mentioned at the very beginning of the deep dive, formaldehyde, which really begs the question, why on earth is the textile industry putting embalming fluid into a baby's bedsheet in the first place?
It all comes down to molecular manipulation. Brands know that parents hate ironing.
Who doesn't?
Right. So to create a quote-unquote wrinkle-resistant or anti-crease finish on cotton, manufacturers treat the fabric with a formaldehyde resin.
Wait, resin?
Yeah. Cotton is made of long cellulose molecules that naturally want to slide past each other and bend, which creates a wrinkle. The formaldehyde acts as a chemical bridge, cross-linking those cellulose molecules together so they physically cannot move or crease.
Oh, wow.
It literally locks the fabric in place at a molecular level.
Okay, wait, I'm confused though. If I go to the store and the label legally says 100% organic cotton, how is it legally permissible for there to be a known human carcinogen like formaldehyde on it? Doesn't the word organic protect the whole product?
That is the single biggest misconception in the textile industry, and brands exploit it constantly. When a tag merely says 100% organic cotton, that only dictates the agricultural phase.
Oh, just the farming part.
Exactly. It means the farmer who grew the cotton didn't spray the fields with synthetic pesticides, and they used non-GMO seeds. That's it.
So the protection literally ends the second the cotton leaves the dirt.
Precisely. Once that raw, purely organic cotton is harvested and shipped to a processing facility, the legal definition of organic agriculture no longer applies to the manufacturing phase.
So they can do whatever they want to it.
Pretty much. That raw cotton can be bleached with chlorine, dyed with carcinogenic azo dyes, and bathed in that formaldehyde resin to make it wrinkle resistant. The farming was organic, the processing was a chemical bath.
That is so misleading. So if the word organic on its own isn't enough to protect you, what actually does? This brings us straight into the certification alphabet soup.
Yes, the acronyms.
Right, we hear these all the time. GOTS, OEKO-TEX, fair trade. Let's actually explain the mechanisms behind what these mean.
Okay, so GOTS stands for the Global Organic Textile Standard. This is widely considered the absolute gold standard because it is a full supply chain certification.
So from seed to shelf.
Exactly. It verifies that the raw fiber is organic, usually requiring at least 70 to 95% organic fibers, but then it tracks the material through every single stage of production. It strictly bans the use of heavy metals, formaldehyde, and toxic ozone dyes during the milling and manufacturing.
And it goes beyond just the chemistry of the fabric, right?
Yes.
GOTS requires facilities to have functional wastewater treatment so they aren't dumping toxic chemical runoff into local rivers. And it also mandates strict international labor organization standards, meaning no sweatshops, no child labor, and verified safe working conditions.
It's very comprehensive. But then you have OEKO-TEX, specifically the OEKO-TEX Standard 100. This operates on a totally different philosophy.
How so?
Well, OEKO-TEX does not care about the farm, and it does not monitor the supply chain. It acts purely as a final gatekeeper. It takes the finished product, like the exact sheet that is going to be shipped to your house, and subjects it to intense laboratory testing for over 100 harmful substances.
Oh, that's the one where Basics highlighted that brilliant detail about the categories.
Yes. Product class wine.
Right. You want to look specifically for product class 1. That tier is engineered exclusively for babies age 0 to 3. And the threshold for what is considered a safe chemical limit is astronomically stricter than the adult classes.
Definitely.
But the coolest part to me is that Class I testing explicitly includes an artificial saliva test. They simulate the chemical release that happens when a baby chews or sucks on the fabric.
Which is so important because infants explore their environment with their mouths. A sheet isn't just something they lie on, it's something they taste.
Right.
And just to round out the labels, you mentioned fair trade. Fair trade is a fantastic certification for human rights.
Yeah.
It guarantees fair wages and community investment for the workers, but it is not a chemical safety standard.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, a fair trade item can still be grown with heavy pesticides and treated with formaldehyde.
Okay, let's unpack this with an analogy because I want to make sure we map this out clearly. GOTS is kind of like auditing a farm-to-table restaurant's entire operation, right? You are inspecting the soil at the farm, auditing the delivery trucks, checking the kitchen staff's wages, and monitoring the cooking methods.
Spot on.
Whereas OEKO-TEX is the health inspector who walks in right before the plate is served, puts the final meal under a microscope, and tests it for bacteria before you actually take a bite.
That is the perfect way to look at it. And if we look at the insights from the manufacturer or hands-on, they argue that the absolute pinnacle of infant safety is combining those two protocols.
Getting both.
Right. You want a product made from DOTS-certified fabric, which ensures an ethical, clean supply chain that is then certified by OEKO-TEX Standard 100 as a finished product, ensuring that absolutely nothing contaminated the item during final assembly and shipping.
But because these certifications carry so much weight with parents, the textile industry has basically weaponized them.
Oh, totally. The greenwashing in this space is so advanced.
It really is. Greenwashing relies entirely on consumer assumptions. Brands know you were scanning the box for the word GOTS or OEKO-TEX, so they deploy those acronyms to imply a halo of safety that the actual product doesn't even possess.
Yeah, Orange Juicing actually exposed the most common trick regarding GOTS. A baby brand will slap GOTS certified all over their website in massive green letters.
Right.
But if you dig into their supply chain, the brand itself doesn't actually hold a GOTS certification. They simply purchase fabric from a mill in Portugal or Turkey that is GOTS certified.
Which completely breaks the chain of custody.
Exactly. The raw fabric might be clean, but if the brand itself isn't certified, no one is monitoring what happens when they cut, sew, dye, or print patterns onto that fabric in some secondary, unverified factory.
Wow. And another trap is the way brands exploit OEKO-TEX. Because OEKO-TEX only tests the finished product for chemical residues, a brand can use conventional cotton, which is literally one of the most heavily pesticide-sprayed crops on the planet. And as long as those pesticides are washed out aggressively enough during manufacturing to pass the OEKO-TEX lab test, the brand gets the certification. Then they plaster their marketing with eco-friendly and pure labels, and the consumer falsely assumes they're buying organic cotton.
It's so deceptive. And honestly, the most alarming greenwashing trap we saw in the sources, specifically detailed by Moss River, revolves around bamboo.
Oh, bamboo. You see 100% bamboo marketed everywhere in the baby space.
Everywhere. Because it's incredibly soft, breathable, and heavily advertised as this natural, sustainable plant.
But wait, bamboo is a hard woody grass? How does a hardwooden stick become a silky bedsheet?
Through a highly chemical-intensive process called the viscose method. You cannot simply weave bamboo fibers like you can with cotton.
So what do?
To make bamboo soft, manufacturers have to take the hard bamboo stalks and dissolve them using intense chemical solvents, usually carbon disulfide and sodium hydroxide.
That sounds toxic.
It is. They basically melt the wood down into a syrupy toxic goo and then extrude that goo through tiny showerhead-like spinnerets into an acid bath, which hardens the goo into soft synthetic threads.
Wait, so it's not a natural fiber at all. It's a chemically engineered synthetic fiber derived from a plant.
Exactly. And the viscose process, if not managed in a closed-loop system, is notoriously dirty. Moss River actually independently tested several unverified bamboo baby brands that were top sellers on major U.S. marketplaces.
And what did they find?
They found formaldehyde readings in those quote-unquote natural bamboo sheets that were 3 times above the OEKO-TEX safety limits.
3 times?
Yeah. The solvents used to melt the bamboo were literally off-gassing directly from the finished fabric.
Hearing all of this, the immediate assumption for any parent is going to be about price, right? It feels like the only way to genuinely keep a baby safe is spend like $200 on boutique luxury organic sheets. Is that true? Or is the luxury price tag just another layer of greenwashing?
It's totally a myth. The idea that safe equals expensive is entirely driven by brand markup. Moss River provided data proving that chemical safety is highly accessible.
Okay, that's a relief.
Yeah, a $30 to $50 sheet that carries a legitimate OEKO-TEX certification or a GB 14001 Class A certification offers the exact same level of microscopic chemical safety as the $200 luxury alternative.
Wait, what is GB 14001 Class A? I don't think I've ever seen that on a tag.
It's China's mandatory national general safety technical code for textile products.
Oh, okay.
Class A is their strictest tier, and it's legally required for any infant textile sold in their market. It strictly regulates formaldehyde, pH levels, and color fastness, meaning the dye won't bleed when exposed to baby sweat or saliva.
That's great.
Yeah, if a budget-friendly brand holds that Class A certification or OEKO-TEX, you're getting verified safety without paying the $150 markup for an influencer-approved brand name.
And regardless of the price, Dr. Burkhart gave us a basically foolproof list of marketing terms to run away from.
Yes, the red flags.
Right. If any tag, no matter how expensive it is, says wrinkle-resistant, stain-resistant, or flame-retardant, drop it immediately. Stain resistance is almost always achieved by coating the fabric in PFAS forever chemicals, which repel water and oil but just accumulate in the human body. And flame retardants are notoriously linked to neurological and developmental issues.
So we know the traps, we know the certifications. To bring all this theory into the actual nursery, we need to talk about the physical execution.
The actual application.
Exactly. What do you actually buy, and how do you prepare it before the baby ever touches it?
Well, Moss River mapped out a really brilliant hierarchy for buying. Tier 1, the ultimate goal, is OEKO-TEX certified organic cotton.
Because you get both protections.
Right, you get the agricultural purity of organic farming combined with the finished product safety of OEKO-TEX. But on the absolute bottom of the list, Tier 6 is polyester and microfiber. You want to keep those entirely out of the crib.
Because polyester is literally spun plastic. And the biological issue with polyester is that it has near zero absorbency. It does not breathe. When a baby sleeps on polyester, their body heat and sweat are trapped directly against their extremely thin skin.
Which is super dangerous.
Very. The AAP explicitly flags synthetic, non-breathable fabrics as an overheating risk factor. And overheating is a known variable in unsafe infant sleep scenarios.
Okay, so let's say you navigate all of this perfectly. You measure your specific mattress, you avoid the bamboo viscose trap, you buy a budget-friendly OEKO-TEX organic cotton sheet, you bring it home. Most people, just throw it in the wash or put it straight on the bed.
Which is a huge mistake.
Exactly. Both Moss River and Dr. Burkhart highlight a crucial, mandatory first step that almost everyone skips.
You must unwrap the new textiles and let them air out in a well-ventilated space for at least 24 hours before you even think about washing them.
This is to deal with VOCs, right? Volatile organic compounds.
Yes. VOCs are industrial chemicals used in the manufacturing, dyeing, and plastic packaging process that physically turn into gas at room temperature.
Oh, I see.
When a sheet is sealed in plastic at a factory in Asia and shipped across the ocean, those gases are trapped in the fibers. If you throw it straight into a warm washing machine, you can inadvertently bake those compounds right into the fabric.
Oh, wow. So airing it out allows the VOCs to off-gas safely.
Exactly.
And once it has off-gas, we get to the washing ritual. Because the chemistry of how you wash a baby sheet actually matters just as much as how it was made.
It really does.
The protocol is to soak the new sheets in warm water with baking soda for about 30 minutes. Then, when you run the wash, you add plain white vinegar to the rinse cycle. Why those two specifically?
It's just basic chemistry. Baking soda is highly alkaline. It actively binds to and neutralizes acidic factory residues, industrial lubricants, and lingering surface dyes that your standard detergents might just miss entirely.
And the vinegar.
White vinegar, added later in the rinse cycle, is a mild acid. It naturally strips away any alkaline buildup left behind by the detergent itself, leaving the cotton fibers completely clean and soft without leaving any sort of chemical film.
Which perfectly transitions into the one absolute golden rule of infant laundry. You must never, ever use fabric softener or dryer sheets.
Never. Fabric softeners do not actually make fabric softer. They work by coating the fibers in a microscopic layer of waxy, electrically conductive chemicals, which are often combined with heavy synthetic fragrances.
And those fragrances are bad news.
Extremely. Those artificial fragrances are notorious endocrine disruptors, meaning they contain chemicals that can actually enter a baby's body, hijack their hormonal system, and mimic or block natural hormones.
That is so upsetting.
And furthermore, that waxy coating completely destroys the natural breathability and absorbency of the organic cotton you just spent so much time researching.
Right, you ruin the sheet.
Basically. Use wool dryer balls instead. They physically agitate the fabric to soften it without adding a single chemical.
I think knowing all of this is incredibly empowering. Because even if you are on a tight budget and you can't afford the premier GOTS certified items, you can still buy more accessible basics from brands like Mitely Kids or Burt's Bees and deploy this exact washing protocol.
Exactly.
By airing them out to release VOCs, neutralizing residues with baking soda and vinegar, and strictly avoiding those waxy softeners, you are actively taking control of the chemical environment. You are mitigating the risks on your own terms.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, safety is really a layered approach. It is the combination of informed purchasing, knowing how to spot greenwashing, and mindful home chemistry. You have the leverage to drastically lower your child's chemical exposure just by rethinking how you do a load of laundry.
Okay, let's do a rapid-fire recap of the entire protocol before you go finalize that baby registry. First, physics over everything. Measure your specific mattress because fit is the ultimate safety check, and remember that mini crib absolutely does not equal pack and play. Second, do not trust the word organic as a standalone guarantee. Demand proof by looking for a GOTS certification or an OEKO-TEX Class 1 number. And finally, sprint away from any fabric marketed as wrinkle-free, stain-resistant, or color-fast.
You know, analyzing the baby industry like this really forces a shift in perspective regarding everything we bring into our homes.
Well, it really does.
We spend an immense amount of time and energy agonizing over the ingredient lists of the food we put in our bodies. We check for organic produce, we demand transparency about artificial dyes in our snacks, but we spend a full third of our lives entirely wrapped in chemically intensive textiles.
Wow, yeah.
Babies spend even more time in them, and yet we are largely unaware of the chemistry reacting with our skin.
Because there's no FDA nutrition label on a t-shirt or a bed sheet.
Exactly, so take that a step further. How might our entire relationship with the textile industry, with fast fashion and with our home goods, fundamentally change if clothing labels were legally required to list their chemical ingredients exactly the way the food industry does?
Man, if I saw formaldehyde, adaza dyes, and heavy metals printed in bold black letters right next to the 100% cotton, I would never look at a retail shelf the same way again.
I know I wouldn't.
It really reveals how murky the waters of modern manufacturing actually are. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Go check those tags, measure those mattresses, and we'll catch you on the next one.